Hello, my gorgeous, beautiful interstellar friends on the internet. I actually don't know what that means, but I thought it would sound cool, but yeah, very awkward. Anyways, today is day 9 on our Python journey, and we are going to solve some Python problems. As we usually do, we solve questions based on the things we've learned. So yesterday we learned about loops, and I asked our good friend ChatGPT to give us some questions to solve. And here are the questions. Actually, to ChatGPT to give us difficult questions. And what I'm seeing now is quite I think I regret my actions actually. But anyway, let's give it a try. And if we can't solve it, we just leave it for when we will be able to solve it and come back to it later. All right, so let's start with question 1. So another reason why I look towards this side of my screen, which is where I'm looking at right now, is because my recording screen is here. So I usually check to see if I'm on time or I'm behind time. I'll quickly show you that screen here. So this is the screen. It's my main screen here. You can see me pointing towards the screen. All right. So that's it. Now let's start with question 1. Question 1 says it's intermediate level. All right. Write a Python program that calculates the factorial of a number. The factorial of a number denoted by the exclamation mark, which is this one here, is of a number n, is the product of all positive integers less than or equal to n. For example, the factorial of 5 is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which is 120. You should use a for loop to solve this task. I was actually in my mind, I was actually thinking while loop. But yeah, it says we should use a for loop. Why not? We know for loop, we know while loop. The question is pretty simple. It says we should loop through a particular number from that number towards 1. So we do the number minus 1 each time, right? And we just multiply them by each other, and that's our factorial. So let's take a look at it. I have the solution files here, so I'll start with the first one. First of all, I'll say n is our number, so I'll set it to 5. We'll still use 5, and I think we should solve it with both while and for loops. So we'll start with the for loop as ChatGPT asked us to. So I'll do so first of all, I want to store the answer in the factorial variable here like this. So I'll set this to factorial is equal to 1. 1 because we are dealing with multiplication here, and anytime we multiply something by 1, we'll still get the same answer basically. So yeah, 1 is fine. So we want to use a for loop. Now, how do we use a for loop in this case? Yes, our good old friend range. So range will give us a range of number from a particular one that we set it from to another one. So this is what I will do here. I'll say for I in range of n. So n is our number. We want to start from 5, stop at 1. So if I put 1 here, it will stop at 2 instead of 1. So let me show you quickly, but I'll leave it like this. And then we want to, how do we get towards 1? So we want to reduce it by 1. So that's it. And then just set our, let's print I and see the answer in the terminal. So I here like this, print I. Now you can see it stopped at 2 instead of 1 as we wanted. So I'll just set this to 0, and then it will stop at 1. Super. All right, so we want to find the factorial. Factorial is basically a number multiplied by every other number less than it by 1. I don't know. I think that makes sense. So 5 times 4, 5 times 3 times 2 times 1 in the case of 5. So what I'll do is I'll just say factorial will store our answer for us. So first of all, we'll set factorial to the number and then multiply factorial by the previous value of factorial. So to do that, we just simply put the multiplication sign in front of the equal mark. So every time we multiply the previous value of factorial by, the current item in this range here, in the first case, it will be 5. Then that value will be stored in this factorial here. So it will remember 5. And then next time, we'll just do 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So let's print the answer in the terminal here. So I'll print factorial like this. So we would expect to have 120 in the terminal. Good. 120 is our answer. So if we change this to like 6, it will give us 720. So let's use a while loop to solve this. So to use a while loop, we'll basically find we can't use range in a while loop. So I'll just loop and reduce the number by 1. So this is what's happening. So I'll just do while the n is still superior to 0, okay, which is the number in our case here. Just do factorial times equal n and then reduce n by 1 each time. So n minus equal 1, which is the same thing this for loop is doing here. Let's just copy this and put it here like this. So let's run this code and see the answer. Yes, it's giving us 720 because this is 6, it's resetted to 5. That's our answer, 120, which is correct. Bravo. All right, so we move to question 2. Question 2 says it's a difficult level question. So we finished intermediate and now we are at difficult level. I think I should get a badge. All right. Okay. Given a list of numbers, write a Python program that uses a while loop to find the smallest and largest numbers in the list without using built-in method like built-in functions, like min, max, sort, etc. or etc. I don't know how to say that word. I don't know how to say that word. Your solution should include error checking to handle cases when the list is empty. Wow. Okay, this is a difficult question. But let's try to break it down to actually understand what is going on here. So they're asking us to, we'll have a list of number, like a list 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, a list of any amount of number, right? And then we'll have to look through this list and find the maximum and the minimum number. Now, we don't know if the list is actually in ascending order or descending order. So we don't know, because if it's in ascending order, we'll know that the first item will be the minimum number and the last item will just be the maximum number. But in this case, it's not like that. So what do we do now? So first of all, we need to let me just go back. We need to set a minimum, a default minimum and maximum. Let's just say the first item here will be the minimum, and let me just copy this list and go to our solution quickly. I'll just try to save time. So I'll just say num list like this. Num list is equal to this array here. Christ. Cancel. Okay, now this list, sorry, not array, list. So we'll set our minimum to this. So let's just say min. I'll just put min num here and set to the first item in this list. So num list, the first item, that's how we'll get it. We'll index it with 0. And then maximum number will be max num like this, and we'll set it to num list 0 as well, as the same as this one. So we have both of them equal to, the first item, right? So what we will do here is we'll just take another. So in our loop, we'll be iterating over the rest of the, items here, and be comparing each one of them to our minimum and maximum. Now, if any number is bigger than the maximum number, we'll set it to the maximum. But if the number is smaller than the minimum number here, we'll set that one to the minimum number, which is quite understandable. So what I'll do here is, how do we track each item? So I'll create another variable called counter and set to equal to 1, right? So 1 is now our counter. So every time we are going through the loop, we'll just, use 1 to track the next item and increase counter by 1. So this here will be our next counter. So I'll create another variable called tracker then. So let's say while the counter here, so first of all, we need to know the length of the list. So I'll use the length instead. So if the length of the list here, if the length of the num list, let me just put num list like this, is superior to the counter. So this is the condition our while loop will check. So if this is superior to the counter, then just keep running the loop. Now we'll increase this counter so that this condition becomes false and our loop will stop running. So I said I'll create a tracker. So this will be our second variable, and I'll set this tracker to the nums list from the counter, like this counter. So we use the counter, the value of the counter, to track the next items in this list, and then I'll increase the counter by 1. So counter plus equal 1, sorry. And let me just print the tracker to see the value of the tracker each time our loop runs. So before I do that, let me move this print here towards the top here. Yeah. All right, so let me run this. Like you can see, we have 13, 4, and 54 here. So we'll now use these values to compare the values of minimum and maximum. So this is what we'll do. So we'll say if the tracker is superior to the maximum, right, then set maximum number to be equal to the tracker, like this, right, to the tracker. And if the minimum number, if the tracker is less than the minimum number, then just set the minimum number to be equal to the tracker. So we just want the smallest number to be our current number, which is what this would do. So I'll just remove this one here, and let's check the values after our loop is done running. I'll actually use a string format in here to print it. So I'll just put minimum will be min number and maximum will be max number. So I'll just copy this, come back here, and just set this one to max, like this, max, and then set this to max num. Christ, it's got enough. Max number, yeah, like this. So let's run this function. Yep, so 54 is our maximum number in this list. And let's switch things up a little. I'll put the a minimum number at the end here, and then just put like a maximum number at the beginning like this. Okay, and run this code. Now you can see our maximum is to, max, and minimum is -1. Now the loop is asking, there's one thing we did not do. So your solution should include error checking to handle cases when the list is empty. So let me close that. So let's see, when this loop is empty, what will happen? When loop is empty, the length of this loop will be 0, right? So this superior to 0 will not work. So you can see this is already telling us that we cannot even index something that is empty. List index out of range. So what I'll do is handle this case, right? So I'll first of all say if the length of this list here, let me just copy this, length of the list is superior to 0, it could be one item in the list. Oh, you don't put brackets around, you don't put parentheses around if statement in Python. Sorry, apologies. So then I will now create these variables here. So let me just move this here. And yeah, so now I can just say, okay, so let's run this code again. We have this, but when the loop is empty, let's see what will happen. Okay, so it says counter is not defined. Well, I think we should just put the whole while loop, into the if block here like this, so that we just basically handle everything like that. So when we run this code here like this, so yeah, so I'll just move this one to here. I'll move it to the top and then indent it so it stays in this loop. So if I print this, nothing will show in the console and our code will stop running. But let's just say, let's tell the user that their list is empty. So else, just put print the list is empty like this. Okay, so let's run this again. Okay, now it says the list is empty, but when we add some values into our list like this, just copy this one here and put these values here and set this to -1. In this case, we'll have the maximum number and minimum number printed in the terminal for us. So you can see min is -1 and max is 54, which is really, really nice. So we are done with question 2, and let's see. Question 3, very difficult level. Okay, I've already read this question actually, and yeah, I admit I can't solve this question right now because it's actually above what we know, and it was my fault to ask ChatGPT to set the questions the way I asked it to set it to. So if anyone can solve this question, they should just go ahead and solve it. But at some point in the future, I should be able to give a solution to this question. So I'll keep it in my to-do list, and then when we are at a position where we can actually solve this question, because I don't actually understand the question to begin with. So backtracking, I don't know what backtracking is. Maybe I should just go and do some research on it. The sooner I find a solution that is actually up to our level, then I will come back and make a video about it. All right, thanks for watching this video. If you learned anything, please share it in the comment section. And yeah, thanks for watching again. I'll see you tomorrow. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.